And it sounds very futuristic, but at the same time, it's old news. Because has anybody heard of the Ankh? The Egyptian Ankh. It looks like, some people call it the Egyptian cross. So when you see it, the dome at the part, I'm familiar with the Ankh. People say, that represents the feminine or the heavens. The cross section of it represents the earth plane and balance. And the lower part represents the masculine and the underworld and the penis. And if you understand Egyptian Osiris, he represented the penis, who resurrects or erects, who rises in the morning with the sun. Because it's all mythology. If you get into the mythology, it's all been coded. So what you're seeing, people wear the Ankh and they say the Ankh is all to do with charging up electromagnetic particles and stuff like that. If you get yourself a copper Ankh shaped in that way, which is very similar to what we would call an oscillator. The ancients were dealing with this stuff. And although it sounds futuristic, this is like thousands of years old. Now, if you could see the Ankh in your mind's eye, this dome at the top with a stem, a dome at the top, a cap with a stem. It's like a mushroom. And if I was to say to you, the Ankh is the mushroom, people say, get out of here, man. You're forcing it, Darren. You just want to make everything mushrooms. I know, you're walking around, see people with umbrellas, lampshades. It's all fucking everything's mushrooms. You get it. It's all just mushroom technology. It's mushroom blueprints. In the ancient world, it was part of the mystery system of ancient Egypt, or Kemet, where the Ankh was known as the key of life. If you're not familiar with that, just check it out yourselves. I can honestly tell you that I've been interested in many things in my life to get me to where I'm at. I can say wholeheartedly, without a shadow of a doubt, the key to my life at this point has been mushrooms. There's been no other key that has opened up what it's opened up. No breath work that I've done, no meditation, no tantra, no dream work, no lucid dream work, no art, but I do it, trying to do it all. I've been doing it all, interested in all that stuff. When the mushrooms came around, I'm like, you're the key. And then when you get to ancient Kemet, or better yet, when you get to the mystery system of ancient Egypt, and you're saying that they've got this Ankh, this supposedly copper metal rod, but they put it in, they're placing it in the mouth of the initiates. Why would they be putting like a metal, just like you've got chains on, why would I be putting a chain in your mouth for? Because it's all been coded and hidden in plain sight. And that same Ankh, the key to life, we've all seen it. Let's do this. Because if one thing you need to learn is how to role play. And one thing I want to teach you today is to role play mushrooms. And let me just expose you. I'm going to expose you guys. Who celebrated Christmas before? People putting their hands up quickly and down. That means you're role playing. That's a role play. You know that. It's role playing. All these games that we play and roles that we play are role playing. Christmas is a celebration of the birth of Christ. Yeah? And then we also celebrate mainly in Easter, his death. Yeah? And then what we're understanding is that in Kemet, the key to life, when they're passing the Ankh, is all to do with rites of passages of death. Because the mystery systems all around the world are all to do with death. Because once you face death, dance with death, tango with death, you will live a more liberated life. But all of you, in some shape, form, have seen it or participated in this ancient African juju ritual before, whether you know it or not. How many of you been to church? How many of you participated in Holy Communion? How many of you, when you participated in Holy Communion, actually communicated with the Holy? That is the purpose of the ritual, of the ceremony. But I know what's happened. They've removed that active ingredient that would allow you to communicate with the Holy and have replaced it with a wafer. Yeah. And although they might give you a bit of wine, it's not enough, is it? It's not enough. Because that would be the ancient Egyptian ritual or rites of passage where that key, that Holy Communion that we would be placing in the mouth in that ceremony would have been a mushroom. And that red wine would have been fermented with blue lotus. And that is the ritual and ceremonies in the ancient Kemetic or Egyptian practices that have transferred all the way into all cultures all around the world. And everybody does it, whether you know it or not, but they've taken away those active ingredients. And then that would allow you to understand why people like John Allegro would say that Jesus is a mushroom. Who's familiar with John Allegro and his works, The Mushrooms and the Sacred Cross? There you go. Many people say, his works, we can't prove it, and this, that, and the other. Like I always say, don't throw the baby out with the bathwater. If you know that Christianity, without disrespect, has been lifted from older traditions, then you find out what the older traditions were on. Just know that Christianity is just a later version of these older traditions, and they just remove some of those active ingredients. So when John's saying Jesus is a mushroom, and you know that Jesus corresponds with Horus, or better yet, Heru, or if you look up, let's think about it, all the blue mushroom gods, like Krishna, Christ. Krishna is where you get the word Christ from, the Krishna. Blue mushroom god, he's a mushroom god. Buddha, the laughing blue Buddha. Why is he laughing? Between the Smurfs, Buddha, or Ptah, people familiar with Ptah? Or you might have heard of him, St. Peter, who's the rock of the Roman Catholic Church. When you go to the Vatican to his sacred shrine, there's a mushroom there. You're going to realize who's basically role-playing the original popes or priesthoods of ancient Egypt, who was Ptah, later to become Peter, who later becomes the Pope, who later becomes the priest on Sundays in your church, doing the same ceremony. It's a mushroom ceremony, which allows you to become Christ-like, Christ consciousness, Krishna consciousness, Buddha consciousness. The technology is captured light code information that allows you to have this universal consciousness. Your mushrooms having a human experience who are meant to reconnect, use this technology to reconnect with your higher true selves. But let's just bring it back to the basics. We're water-based, mushrooms are water-based. You know that, yeah? Like we're 3 times water, mushrooms are water. Water's communication, the communication devices. I can't remember the guy's name, but I know you all know him. The guy who done all the tests with the water and stuff, gave it positive energy, and they done all the sacred geometry and all that type of stuff. You've seen it. If you're water-based, the way we communicate with each other plays the same way. It's how we send and share frequencies. There is information in these mushrooms that we can actually benefit from. Now, I'm talking about psychedelic mushrooms a lot, but I'm also here to let you know that all the mushrooms play a big part, because we know mushrooms as the soul creators. They get the party started. They facilitate in supplying food. How many of you like mushrooms for food? Great. How many of you eating lion's mane? That's what I get my young students to do. I'm like, yo, who wants to be smart? That's what I tell my young, because they're like, mushrooms, I don't like mushrooms, so don't taste nice. I'm like, do you want to be smart? Because if you want to do well in school, school's all about remembering. You don't need to be smart. You just got to have a good memory to be in school. I'm a teacher. I've worked it out. When I teach you, you don't have to really know it. Just remember it. If you've got a good memory and can remember it and pass the exam, you pass. And that's all you got to do. Eat loads of lion's mane. It helps you with your memory. But the problem is, in our world, because we're dealing with sickness, we see everything as a medicine and use it at the end. When you've got anxiety, when you've got dementia, all these things. Like, no, mate, have it now to keep building and build your brains so you can be smart like me, a mushroom. When I was a human, I wasn't smart. Now I'm smart because I'm a mushroom. That's right. But again, we don't have to wait till we're on death's bed. I embrace it. But at the same time, why do we need to be on death's bed before we start building this relationship with fungi? How many of you heard about the trials that they've done with the cancer patients? In the States? No, do your Googles, man. Cut a long story short, there's a documentary on YouTube. It's called Understanding Psilocybin. It's free. Go on YouTube, watch it. It's like an hour plus long. They're basically there with these cancer patients. We know cancer, #1 killer. People everywhere around the world has been affected and impacted by cancer. So they're giving these cancer patients at the last resort, they're saying, bruv, you're going to die in 3 months, 6 months, however long it is. They're saying, look, we've tried everything. I'm now getting anxiety. I'm getting depressed because of this information that you've given me. It's throwing me off. And the family like, yo, this is like really distressing all of us. What are we going to do? And they're like, well, the last resort, you know what the last resort is? We're doing these trials. You can try these psilocybin mushrooms. So what's happening? These cancer patients are taking the psilocybin mushrooms. They're going on these 6, 8, 10-hour voyages. And they come back. You got to watch the documentary. And they look at their family members, and the family's like, oh, we're really scared and nervous. Is everything right? Are you okay? And they're like, I'm going to be fine. Bruv, there's an after party over there ready waiting for me. I'm going to be all right. I'm more concerned about leaving you guys behind in this hell that you're living in. I'm fine. And I'm just saying that we shouldn't have to wait till we're on death's bed before we're doing it. Why I say that is because we, in indigenous cultures all around the world, even here in this great land, you would have had this stuff before you reach adulthood. While you've entered puberty, you would have had your experiences. You wouldn't have waited to a midlife crisis, depressed, anxious, back against the wall, before you see mushrooms as the way forward, as the key. We knew this from back in the day. There's no way you would have got into adulthood without having your magic mushroom experience. This would have happened when you're 8, 9, 10, 11 years old, consciously. But before you consciously took it, you would have been conceived with this. You would have been downloaded with this. And what do I mean? Downloaded. Yes, we were downloaded down here. Parents would consciously take mushrooms and invite their children to come to this realm. And once they've accepted the decision that, yeah, this is the family that I want to join, and they've come through, their mothers would be what we call today microdosing. Because mushrooms and these plant technologies are a way of life. All the research has already been done. All these trials that they'll be doing there, it's old. It's old news. If you understand the people who are gifted this stuff, who are the gatekeepers, know this already. So the mothers would be just ingesting this stuff, grooming the child, communing with their child while they're in the womb. For example's sake, amongst the Khoisan people and certain tribes within Africa, what would happen is now mother's bearing a child, about to give birth. Do you know what happens when it's time to give birth? I know what we do here. I've had 2 children, not actually myself, but they've come from me. Anyway, we're like, you ready? Let's get to the hospital. We're driving, or you call the ambulance, you get to the hospital. And these cultures here, in fact, I don't want to get, it's not the San, but but there's an indigenous tribe. Basically, what happens is the mother packs her bag, by herself, packs her bag. The 2 things she has in there is mushrooms and weed. She goes to the forest and gives birth by herself. And comes back a few weeks later. She uses the mushrooms as a tool for communicating and navigating, because anybody who knows that when you're in real life, like tonight, if there's no lights, we ain't going to be able to see, are we? But if you dose up, mushrooms give you night vision. It heightens your senses. So you're able to navigate those terrains. It's used as a pain relief, just like marijuana is. Once the child has been birthed, the mother is also taking mushrooms and other plant technologies, and the child will be getting it through the breast milk. As the mother's giving it to the child for the breast milk and they're getting older, toddler, and you're seeing them running around, you've got these little big-headed mushroom babies running around. I've met quite a few of them now. They're all over the planet. It's ancient ones, old ones, but there's some new ones popping up, loads of new ones popping up. They're all running around. People call me, yeah, man, me and my girl got together, we got jiggy with it, using mushrooms at the time. We've been giving it to them and meet this little big-head mushroom child of mine. I'm like, yeah, you can tell the shapes of their heads. They've got these little mushroom heads. Anyway, the point that I'm making is that these children are growing up, and by the time they hit puberty, 9, 10, 11, it's like, now you're going to be aware of this stuff. Fully aware. You're going to go learn how to identify these things, find them in the forest. They are tools for technology. I share with my young people, a perfect example. Who's seen those young people, where I'm from in East London, and they've got like the little bags over their side? They've got 1 or 2 things in there. Things there's like a gun, drugs and money. Those kind of things are in that bag. But that's exactly the same things that indigenous people have got. They got their weapons for warfare. Because I'm just here to let you know that mushrooms are not all about unicorns, bubbles, and rainbows and stuff. There's a warfare element to mushrooms, for sure. So anyway, in that, and they got their drugs, their sacraments, for lack of a better, if you want to use those politically correct terms, and then they're going out, and the same thing they're told, you got to go out there and get a lion. Come back with a lion. All the people want to save the planet and save the animals. Like, no, you shouldn't kill the lions. We need the lions. But it's real life. I'm not talking about the hunters. They're just hunting for fun. I'm talking about real people in real environments where there's real lions. And when the lion comes into the village, we don't need no punks. We need to know that when the lions come and we say, yo, women, children, go that way, there's some people that are prepared to stand up and fight a lion. And you never want to have to fight a lion if you've never fought a lion before. You've got to have had that experience. It's like being in the dojo, being in the ring. You've got to practice and train for the real event. And that's what takes place. These rites of passages that involve mushrooms in activating the warrior inside of you are real deal. How many of you are familiar with the Black Panther movie? The first one. Perfect example. I'll just give you the hero. Everyone's the hero. Who knows they're the hero on the hero's journey? Neo. You're in the Matrix. Got all these different archetypes, all these role players around you, supporting you and becoming the one. So in the movies, they're just reminding you of that. In the Black Panther movie, just an example being that when the hero, T'Challa, he's got to deal with the ops. Yeah, he's got to deal with the ops, the enemy. When he's dealing with the enemy, they're like, it's too much. What does he have to do? He's got to have this brew and this flour. Then when he takes it, what happens? He goes into the underworld. And who does he hang with? His ancestors, who give him knowledge and information that allows him to resurrect and rise again, become the hero, the warrior, and defeat the ops. I'm here to let you know that they made mushrooms illegal around the world so we don't become the heroes. You are mushrooms having a human experience and you've been disconnected from that. It's your job to make a conscious decision to reconnect with it. I know we're all plant medicine loving people out here. I just want to remind you, mushrooms are not plants. They predate the plants and they give the plants all their information. They're the most sustainable psychoactive sacrament you could be working with. You don't need to be uprooting ayahuasca vines and squeezing toads and stuff. There's an abundance of mushrooms all over the planet. If you know ayahuasca, you only find it in certain places. It was gifted to those people. It's their technology. They're there ready and waiting, saying, well, go on. Pick me, eat me, we're ready for you. All the information you want to find in the plants is in us. We give it to them. The reason why we told you to go to the plants is because it became more scarce. That's how we found out how to brew ayahuasca and all these things, by way of the mushroom technology. They says, yo, who talks to their plants? All right, whose plants talk back? I hope so. People are laughing like it's a joke. I'm giving you this real deal stuff. I'm just trying to share with you that if you are to be a sustainable advocate for this life, this planet, this experience that we're having, mushrooms are the way forward on so many levels. And you are mushrooms having a human experience. I'm going to sign off here. That's all I've got to share with you today.